pleasant Wednesday out there. This is It's Different News, Views and Music Show on KZSU Stanford 90.1 FM. We have a great pleasure and honor to welcome Swami Nirbhayananda Saraswati to our studios. He hails from Karnataka in India. He is the president of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Ashrams in Bijapur and Gadak. And he was here in New York as part of Universal Peace Federation and during September. And this is the organization Universal Peace Federation is in consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, and they have conferred the title Ambassador of Peace to Swamiji. And he was invited to the UPF Assembly in New York in September to present a prayer on behalf of Hinduism for the departed souls in the tragedy of September 11, 2001. And in July he was in Seoul to act as religious advisor from Hinduism for Interreligious Cultural Festival. And Swami Nirbhayananda Saraswati, he runs a school for rural destitute children in Managoli, Bijapur district, and also is a guest speaker under Indira Gandhi National Open University about Indian education system. So we have a great pleasure and honor to welcome Swamiji to our studios here. Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
It's a pleasure to have you with us in our studios. And on behalf of our listeners, I welcome you.
Thank you so much. Equally, it is my pleasure too.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Swamiji, could you tell us about, before we get into the topic of powers of positive attitude, tell us about your ashrams generally and other social causes that you kind of bring it to the front.
Yes, I entered into this life of monastic culture in India in the year 1993. Mm-hmm. That is the year that coincides with the centenary celebrations of Swami Vivekananda's address at Chicago. Mm-hmm. So during this about 14 years tenure, about 15 centers in northern part of Karnataka were opened. Northern part of Karnataka is the place where Ramakrishna Vivekananda influence was not so much. Mm-hmm. It was not so intensely felt. My guru and mentor, Swami Purushottamanja Maharaj, entrusted me with the task of spreading Vivekananda message in that part of Karnataka. Mm-hmm. So it is with that mission that I came down to northern districts of Karnataka and started opening centers in different parts. It used to be like this. I would go to one place and give a lecture for about 15 days about the grand life and teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Somehow the situation will be so foreign that the leading citizens of the place would come to me with a request that they must have one center in their midst. Mm. And they also would put a request to me to send one monastic member from my order to take care of that center, and they will have the responsibility of taking care of all other aspects of having the center established in their place. So, through this process, about 14-15 centers have been started in northern part of Karnataka today, and they have been catering to various needs of the people. To quote one example, we have one beautiful residential school in Managoli, Bijapur district, where we have been getting 100% results every year in SSLC, and though it is a rural high school, a student from my school has got second prize for the whole India in Yogasana.
Very nice. Mm-hmm.
So like that, things are going on in a very appreciable way. And we have got 3 groups as our target groups, mm-hmm. women, students and teachers. Because for building India, Vivekananda's, his dream was to rebuild India. He wanted India's glory to be restored back. Mm. And for that, he had tremendous confidence in the younger generation, the modern generation, the student community. But unfortunately, in India today, the education system is not that comprehensive. So to make up for the deficiency in the present system, we have been conducting youth conventions, personality development courses for students and all that. And teachers have equally a vital and important role in molding the personalities of students. Mm. So where does a teacher stand? What is his responsibility in catering to the requirements of the country today? How he must discharge his duties? What sort of personal example he must set before the students? What values he has to infuse into the student community? Mm-hmm. So all these things will be highlighted in the teachers' conferences that we'll be holding quite frequently. Mm-hmm. And the other one important component in Hindu society is mothers. Mothers always constitute the first teachers for any child. In Kannada, there is a beautiful saying, Maniye modala patashale, Janani tanu modala guru. So house is the first school and mother is the first teacher. So the rudiments of education will come from mother. So unless mother is enlightened, quite aware of what her duty is, what sort of academic input that she has to put into the child, the education will never be a long-standing one and a fruitful one. So we address to the groups of mothers to make them know about what their duty is, how much of responsibility they too have in building the country. So like this, students, teachers and mothers, they are the three target groups which basically we address ourselves to enable them to rise to the occasion and create and initiate a process whereby in future we can have a grand India built up. That is briefly about the activities that we have been conducting.
It's very interesting and nice to hear that your goals and objectives of the ashrams and other social services you do. Okay, on the topic of discussion, Swamiji, powers of positive attitude that you're going to present today in Santa Clara County Library at 6:30 p.m., right?
Yes.
And I know, thanks for coming over here to kind of give an excerpt of the speech that you planned. But just tell us for our benefit of our listeners, like what is positive attitude and then how one can keep up with that. Because we know whatever happens, happiness or sadness, we as rational human beings, we just tend to be in that moment and then experience that. Whether it is happiness means we are overjoyed, joyful. If it is sad means we are just everything is down and then we are just sitting there and then with so much of sorrowness. But again, this positive attitude, we would like to hear from you and how one can keep up with it. What's your thoughts?
This positive attitude, so to say, is nothing more than simply living in truth. The greatest tragedy for any human being is that he has somehow not been able to live in truth. And absolutely there is no other way whereby a man can be happy. Man can get whatever he wants. Truth is such a great thing that the more you familiarize yourself with truth, more you move closer to truth, it gives you all the benefits that you need. Somehow we have been basking in a sort of falsehood. I do not know how it has come about, but it is a fact. So positive attitude means simply knowing what you are and how your attitude must be towards your own self and also towards the world around. According to Indian philosophy, which is nothing but a science of human development, it says you are infinite, you are absolute. This is the one central basic theme that runs through all the Upanishadic teachings. Oh man, you are no ordinary. What you have thought yourself to be is born of falsehood. You consider yourself as Mr. So-and-so, son or daughter of Mr. So-and-so and all those things, which are all just imposed upon you. That is the apparent personality that you have. But the real personality of you is that you are absolute. You are a part, you are one with the absolute itself. So try to know what you are. This is one constant sermon that is given to the student community all through the Upanishadic literature. Everywhere the teacher will ask the students, first know what you are. Mere knowing about you will put an end to all problems because you are above all problems. No problem can touch you. This is what fundamentally the central essence of Ramana Maharshi's teachings also. He never went away from making a man understand what you are. Who are you? Whenever a seeker would approach Ramana Maharshi, immediately the Maharshi would draw the attention of the seeker to know who are you, who are you. You know who you are? Once you know who you are, that itself is an end to all the problems because you are such a grand being. So Upanishadic teachings will say, Atmanam Vidhi, try to know what you are. So the answer for that, the Guru himself would give the students. Who are you? You know who are you? Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, you are that. The Atman, about which I have been describing all these years, that it has got absolute existence, absolute knowledge, absolute bliss. You are that. Already you have become. So you have to simply live in that awareness. Nothing more requires to be done by you. Mere awareness the fact that you are absolute, you are having absolute existence, absolute knowledge, absolute bliss, that itself will suffice, that itself will give you everything that you need. You are afraid of death. How can you die? You have got absolute existence. How can you die? The body may go away, but it doesn't mean to say it is an end for your own existence. How can you be ignorant? You are very much dissatisfied because every time you are not able to understand anything, you think you are ignorant or your knowledge is insufficient. How is it? It is born of delusion. You are absolute knowledge itself. In what way? After all, there is any dearth of knowledge in you. And sometimes you say you are miserable. I am not getting this. I am not. But by nature itself, you are bliss. You are absolute bliss. And we must know nature is something that we can never be bereft of, even for a particle second. Not even for a second. Not even for a particle second. We cannot be away from our nature. So something that will be ever constantly with us is alone what we call as nature. So it is our nature to have absolute existence. It is our nature to have absolute knowledge. It is our nature to have absolute bliss. How at all you will die? How at all you will be ignorant? How at all you will be miserable? So whatever you think that you are deprived of, or anything, whenever you think in terms of I am not having this or I am not having that, it is only out of ignorance, and definitely it is not fact. So what you need to have or what you need to be is that always live in that constant awareness that I am Atman, that I am Atman. This awareness itself will bring about a transformation in you, whereby you will be in a position to achieve whatever you want. For example, here only in America, we have that wonderful episode of the life of Wilma Rudolph. One polio hit girl, she was polio hit. All the physicians and doctors in the vicinity told, you cannot walk, you are polio hit. Somehow you have to use crutches and execute your mobility. There is no other way for you. But somehow this girl was not in a position to accept that version. She wanted to assert herself, no, I do walk, like any of my friends walks. I am not prepared to accept crutches. I am going to walk normally. I am not going to have any other version. I am the last person to be prepared for any such things. So she was so much assertive. This is positive attitude. What we mean by Shvetaketu Tattvamasi, Atmanam Vidhi, Brahmaham Brahmasmi. No, I am not like that. How at all anything can happen to me? I am not affected by all these seeming retarding processes, retarding developments. I am above all these things. I am transcendental. This constant thought running, coursing through the being is what we call as positive attitude. The result is that girl, one day she came to the physical education teacher and said, sir, people say I am polio hit, I cannot walk, but I want to walk, I want to run in a normal way. The teacher said, no, you practice. By virtue of practice, you can do anything. Don't accept anybody's version. You be assertive always. Nothing has happened to you. You will be like any other girl. Every day she would come to the playground and practice walking for some time. After some time, she became so much normal. She became the fastest running girl in the whole school by the time she completed her high school education. Later, she went to New Tennessee for her college studies. There also, she continued her effort of running every day, and she represented America in 1960 or 64 Olympics and got four gold medals in 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters and relay race. A polio hit girl who had been considered as someone absolutely unable even to put one step in the normal way, lifted herself to a position whereby she brought 4 gold medals for America in the Olympics. Means where from the transformation came, how the transformation took place. It came from inside. All those things could take place only because she was the last person to accept what appeared to be as a doom for her, what appeared to be a damnation for her. Oh man, typically this is the type of the attitude that you need. By developing positive attitude, your body will change, your mind will change, your body will change, your whole being will change, and your future is in your own hands. You are the maker of your destiny. This is the constant exhortation from Indian Upanishads, Indian philosophy and all that. You are the maker of your destiny. Shri Krishna repeatedly rather exhorts in Bhagavad Gita, Uddhared Atmanatmanam, Atmanam Avasadayet, Atmaiva hi Atmano Bandhu, Atmaiva Ripuha Atmana. Your friend is your Atma, your enemy is your Atma, your elevation, your downfall, everything is in you. You are the creator of your destiny. So there is that freedom for every man to build his own destiny. You need not depend on God, you need not depend on any other external agency. So there is a constant assertion for the individual freedom according to the theory of karma. What a wonderful teaching is this. What a grand blessing is this. When such a blessing is there, the whole mankind must come to know about that, and they must start rebuilding their future in any way that they want. This is the essence and quintessence of the lecture that I am going to deliver today in the evening. I think that will be of great benefit for the people.
Thank you very much. So, dear listeners, we are listening to Swami Nirbhayananda Saraswati, who is from Karnataka in India. He is the president of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Ashrams in Bijapur and Gadar. You're listening to It's Different show on KZSU Stanford 90.1 FM. And just to, Swamiji, that's wonderfully you mentioned about it's all you, ultimately, the Atma.
Yes.
It's all you, and we have to really think about everything. I can put it like this. Know yourself. I think the constant challenge is that.
Yes.
It's not that we do not know who we are. It's a question of like the constant role that we play, like as a father, as a husband, or as a assistant to the manager, or as a manager, as a director in the organization, right? So you play different roles. The conflicts that occur from one role to the other role, and that actually is the problem, in my opinion. Because you suddenly, like I used to tell myself when I was, I go with my daughter, dropping them in the school, I listen to music, or I constantly think about my role as a project manager at work, rather than spending my role as a parent to my daughter. I think the conflict is that the attitude.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have any pointers as to how one can?
Yeah, here, as far as your role as father is concerned, there is a limitation for you to assist your daughter as to how she can mold her personality the way that you want her to be, or in the way the society wants her. There is a limit. What maximum you can do, you can create a hunger in her for development. That is all the role of a parent or a teacher. You will have to create situations for our young children to be inspired by the great achievements of great people. If they are held in that constant influence of a great influence from a great man, I think majority of our task is done. Major portion of our task is done there itself. Later, we have to give them certain instructions, like they must always have certain convictions. The first conviction is that by doing good, nothing bad will come to them. Conviction in the powers of goodness. Goodness has got a power. So if they can always have that total dedication and commitment to doing good things only, nothing bad will happen to them. So let them be inspired, let them have that hunger for development, let them have that wonderful ethical commitment, and more than anything else, fundamentally, let them always have this deep-rooted understanding in them that nothing is impossible for a human being. And ultimately, everyone will have to work out his own destiny. External agencies may help to a certain extent, but they will not count for more. So, with certain basic understandings, basic teachings, instructions, we can keep our children on the right track. Well, in course of time, after all, no teacher can give every academic ingredient that is needed for the student. There is a beautiful saying in Sanskrit, how an education for a person will come. Acharyat padam adatte. Only 1/4 of personality will come from the teacher. Padam shishya swamedhaya. The 1/4 of personality, the 1/4 of fulfillment or completeness of education will have to be achieved by student himself. Padam sabrahmacharibhyaha. The 1/4 will come from the company and the surrounding atmosphere in which we live. Padam kalakramenacha. It is in course of time that the remaining 1/4 will come. So everyone has got his own limitation. Teacher, parent, atmosphere, and self-effort of the student. So we have to make them understand all these things and strive in that direction. So I think with an awareness of all these things, you can quite well balance your role as a manager and your role as father, like that. And ultimately, there is this constant strain. That is, let us do our duties and be detached to the fruits of it. Let all our attention be only towards our duties. If properly a duty is done, fruits will have to come. Swami Vivekananda used to say, put the chemicals together, the crystallization will come on its own. You need not worry about crystallization. Put the chemicals together and maintain the required conditions around in the laboratory. Crystallization does come. So like that, we have certain duties. Let us do our duties and see everything else for the nature to work on its own law of action.
Thank you. Dear listeners, we are listening to Swami Nirbhayananda Saraswati. He is here with us in our studios. He is the president of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Ashram in Bijapur and in Gadar. Swamiji runs school for rural destitute children in Managoli, Bijapur district. and he's also a guest speaker at Indira Gandhi National Open University about our Indian education system, and he also constantly gives a lot of presentations and talks on Vivekananda's teachings, etc. in various media. And he also runs a bi-monthly magazine, Viveka Deepti in Kannada, which is quite a lot of circulation there. And his speech on the subject, Bhavya Jivana Parichaya, is also like a kind of a multimedia presentation for the benefit of listeners. And Swamiji, I have a question for you. The Universal Peace Foundation has awarded or conferred the title Ambassador of Peace for you.
Yes.
And we heard that for the United Nations, Universal Peace Foundation, you were here that's how you came to United States in your recent trip.
Sure.
Can you just tell us about this? First of all, it's nice to know that you've been awarded this Ambassador of Peace. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yes, in 2004, I had taken part in the 4th World Parliament of Religions in Barcelona, and I spoke about educational initiatives in India. Perhaps this UP of People, an organization that is in consultative status with ECOSOC of United Nations, they got the information that I have been speaking on Hinduism from various forums, international forums and all that. So they wanted me to give certain lectures on Hinduism, especially how Hinduism can promote world peace in Seoul, where I was invited to speak during this intercultural cultural festival, some interreligious cultural festival. They were very much impressed by the wisdom of Hinduism for promoting world peace. I elaborated on Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Sahana Bhavatu, let us all live together.
Yeah.
So like that. So when they came to me about all these things, they were quite impressed to know that Hinduism has got a lot to say. And afterwards, they also came to know about various social activities, social service activities, to put it precisely, that I have been carrying out in India, especially for destitute children, orphans, children from slum-dwelling areas, etc. They were all quite impressed by that, and they thought it would be better to have them as a part of their organization. I think this must have acted as a motivation for them to involve me by conferring upon me the title Ambassador for Peace. And later developments brought me over to America and various other places where I had to take part in 2 conferences here. One was International Leadership Conference and the other was some religious conference to discuss about the relevance and the need and also the possibilities of bringing into existence one religious council in United Nations on similar lines with Social Security Council. We have a Security Council in United Nations. Can we bring into existence another council like Religious Council in United Nations? Because in today's international problems, many problems are related to religion. You cannot keep aside religion as something irrelevant, as something not directly connected with the human life on the globe today. It has got a lot of bearing on human sentiments or human conduct, human behavior and all that. So to regulate all these things and to create a general awareness among people about the importance of religion, can we have one religious council itself in the United Nations to discuss about that? They wanted me to act from Hinduism.
Very nice. I'm very glad to hear that. Thanks for your continued service to the humanity here. And dear listeners, Swami Nirbhayananda Saraswati is here with our studios, and he just gave a presentation on powers of positive attitude. And he's also conducting this special program at the Santa Clara County Library today, Wednesday, October 24th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. So if you want to listen to the 2 hours of Swamiji's speech, please you can check it out at Santa Clara County Library today. And if you have some questions, you wanted to reach Swamiji, here is the email address: Swami, SWAMI, Nirbhayananda, NIRBHAYANANDA @readifmail.com. Swami Nirbhayananda @readifmail.com, where Swamiji is kind enough to give this address and say if you have any questions, he would be happy to answer it for you. If in case you cannot reach this email, you can also send it to us, itstiff@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to forward it to Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji, for your time for our studios. Once again, this is It's Different News, Views and Music Show on KZSU Stanford. 90.1 FM. And